Alliance is a world-renowned esports organization from Sweden, focusing primarily on Dota 2. So how did one of the best teams in the world, when their last chance of reaching one of the most important tournaments of all time on the line, get denied by 5 random streamers with minimal tournament experience? Let's dive in.
So they should be able to maybe commit from if they can get the stun.
And they certainly can. Stun into silence, into spear, not a chance for Gore. It's a kill. Oh, we missed!
Oh, he gets the other one!
Wait, what? He's dead!
And Nico died top.
No, he didn't. Wait, what happened? He got freezing fielded.
I think he just got bit and freezing fielded.
I'm losing $10,000 a day.
Oh no.
Now, there are many ways to lose a game in Dota. Unlike many other popular esports like CSGO and Valorant, there is no round system, there are no rounds. If you make a mistake in the first 5 minutes, it can, and very often will, determine the game. Before beginning the game, both teams in Dota get the chance to draft their teams, which consists of different phases of picking and banning heroes. Now, in what way does banning a single hero, Enigma, lose the game for one of the most well-funded teams in Dota? Well, as it often is with Dota matches, it's beyond the game. You see, in Dota, you have the unique ability to actually research the players before you need to fight them in a game like this. This is something all pro teams do, even Alliance, or at least for enemies they respect. Team Bald, the streamer team, did not get that respect from Alliance. If I spend roughly 30 seconds of my precious time, I can find that none of them play Enigma, not on their professional accounts nor on their personal ones. That was apparently too much time to invest into the series for Alliance. 5 minutes into the game, the kills are even. The support, Pablo, gets first blood. No big deal, mistakes happen. And then it happened again. And again. And again. You start to get the picture. Once or twice are mistakes, but 5 kills, that's when it becomes concerning. If you analyze the kills, it's not that hard to find a common denominator between them. Leshrac and Marcy have been the cause of every single kill at this point. Now, if we skip forward a bit, I think it's time for you, the viewer, to do some analysis. What do you think is happening right here? You will need to have a bit of Dota experience to know the specifics, but your intuition should tell you that something is wrong. And you'd be right. The Aegis of Immortality is the most important win condition in Pro Dota, and if you have any League of Legends experience, you might know how impactful the Roshan clone Nashor can be. Now, Dota has this beautiful feature where you can see the win probabilities based on the internal stats. What win chance would you give the streamer team at this point, ignoring all the historic merits of the teams, just looking at this one game? 55? 60? 75? No, the game is even. How is this possible? Alliance's heroes are all behind on goal and experience, there is no reason to favor them this highly. Well, the reason that they are still in this game at all is because of this one little guy farming his way to the top slowly but surely. There is actually a reason behind why Alliance has been playing so incredibly slowly, so defensively. They are putting every single one of their eggs in a demon-shaped basket, Shadowfiend. The only thing Alliance needs at this point is just a couple of good fights with SF and they have a very decent chance of winning. But, as you might expect, that's not what happened. Zipzapper predicts a strong response from the enemy and jumps in while instantly casting his defensive options. If we take a look at the Wikipedia page of his, we can see that... oh right, yeah, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. I hope you didn't forget that this is a multi-million-dollar esports team of veterans versus a team consisting of 2 random streamers and 3 solo queue grinding pub players. Oh, and did I mention that almost every single Alliance member has a higher MMR than the people who spend most of their days playing for MMR? Fight after fight, Team Ball just win, and they win, and they win. At 38 minutes and 42 seconds, the game is over. Let's just say that Twitch chat found this incredibly humorous. This keeps on going for a long time. I'm gonna move on. Now, despite how foolish Alliance might have looked in the first game, you should never really forget that they are still a professional team. The entire Dota esports scene revolves around the International, and this is their last chance to reach the summit. Game 2, they've adapted. Alliance banned every single hero that Team Bald played Game 1, except for Gork's Chaos Knights. Nothing personal, I guess. Roughly 1 minute into the game, this happens. Gork misses a hook, and if you've watched enough Gork's streams before, you know his skill shots can be a bit inconsistent. But no, this is simply propaganda spread by ignorant chatters. He is simply playing chess, while everyone else is playing checkers. Oh, okay, he didn't see the snapfire on his screen either, but he probably visualized it, or minimap or something. Okay, I can admit it was probably a fluke. 10 minutes into the game, the net worth is almost completely even, with Alliance having a tiny edge. Alliance and Team Ball find themselves in a 4 versus 4 fight, where neither team has a sizable advantage. When the final team member of Team Ball connects with his teammates, the fight swings and once again the streamers have the advantage. This is a happy mid laner, safely farming his ancients. Until it's not so safe anymore. Dying always hurts in Dota, but it hurts especially hard as a Shadow Fiend. Since a lot of his damage comes from the souls he collects while farming, a death sets him back further than it will almost any other hero, because he loses half of the souls when he dies. This makes it especially worrying when it happens again in a very similar manner. While Team Bald as a whole is still in the lead as a team, Excalibur on the Shadow Fiend is the lowest net worth of all cores. With that major threat removed, Alliance safely takes Roshan. Team Bald manages to play passively enough to not lose the game on the spot, but a couple of minutes later the advantage is equalized. The tanky raid boss, that is Pudge, gets separated from his team of helpers, and before they can regroup, Nico Baby interferes and gets the stun of his lifetime, freezing the weakest 3 heroes of Team Bald in one swoop and further splitting up the team. I think the caster summarized it the best.
Team Bald, as the ults for Alliance come together this time.
This is the Alliance that we saw yesterday. You know, they're smoked, kind of sitting around on the high ground waiting for someone. They're baiting the tide perfectly.
Alliance is finally playing like a highly funded professional team. Calculated plays with a style that they are comfortable playing with. Another team fight breaks out shortly after, and this time Team Ball is at an even bigger disadvantage, with their arguably strongest hero being a long distance away from the fight. When everything looks lost, Pablo hits this beautiful terrorize, fearing Alliance down the stairs and into their doom. Anyone with a couple of Dota games played will see this right here and understand what's coming next. For those who are not aware, Shadow Fiend's ultimate is a high damage massive AoE spell that deals more damage the closer the enemies are. The downside to it is that it has a very long channel time of 1.67 seconds. That might not sound like a lot, but it means that you very rarely are going to be able to just land it up close on the enemy. Of course, it's a lot easier to hit it if they forcefully walk right into it. What looked like the rise of the professionals, but the fall of the streamers, quickly turned back into a completely even game again. One of the most beautiful things about Dota is that no matter how big the hurdle is, given a creative enough approach, almost anything can be overcome. Another beautiful part about Dota is that you almost always have opportunities to learn from your mistakes. Alliance find themselves in a very similar position to what they were before the incident. The big difference being that this time they decide to take a risk and go fight Roche instead of waiting for Team Bald to arrive like they did last time. And it pays off big time. The rewards from slaying Roshan gets larger and larger to the point where getting the kill almost certainly leads to victory. Not much later, Alliance pressures Team Bald a bit, and this time there isn't really any miracle to save them. At 44 minutes and 28 seconds, GG is called. At this point, it wouldn't be unfair to say that Alliance has a better chance of winning. While the first game had a surprisingly weak performance, it was very clear that they were able to play like a serious team game too, and that there was a real difference. And there isn't really any reasoning or explanation that can justify Team Bald being able to catch up to Alliance at this point. But when there's only one game left, it's not rare for teams to become a bit nervous, which often leads to either over-aggressive plays, but more often than not, passive play. This series was no exception, and 4 minutes into the game, not a single kill had happened. That is until Gork decides that enough is enough and goes on a very long chase for the enemy support. The first kill of every game is awarded with a decent amount of extra gold. But in this specific scenario, Team Bald barely even made a profit when you take into account the huge amount of time their very timing based hard carry is spending on it. Now, right here, somewhere around the 10-minute mark, a huge decision is made. You see, in Dota there are 5 positions, 5 players, 5 positions, ranked by how they should be prioritized when it comes to farming. The position 1 player has first dibs on farm, and the position 5 player mainly works as a cleanup crew for any leftover farm after the big predators are done. Pablo, the hoodwink, is playing position 4, also known as the soft support. He is a support, but he can get some small opportunities to build a little bit of net worth. It is pretty rare in professional Dota that players swap these roles mid-game. After all, they're all kinda trained for their specific roles and excel at those particular tasks. You see these items down here? That's Pablo, the support's shopping list. And let me tell you, it's not a support item. It isn't illegal per se to go for this farming accelerating item as a support, but it's generally not expected to lean into the job of farming as heavily as Pablo did. After all, he is from the beginning behind all the other core farmers, since he didn't play around earning money during the first 10 minutes of the game. And this is not a small commitment either. It takes Pablo 7 more minutes to even get the item that starts his efficient farming. If Team Ball loses during the first 25 minutes, this item is going to look like a complete blunder. But once again, that's not what happens. Team Bald wins a fair teamfight 5v5 through just better spellcasting, initiation and positioning. Another teamfight goes Team Bald's way, and at this point the win probability for Team Bald is 80%. First around 30 minutes into the game is when the consequences of Team Bald's decision around 10 minutes is starting to show themselves. The richest and arguably strongest heroes in order are the money farming hard carries of both teams at the top, and then there is this little special support right here. At this point the game is deceptively hard for Alliance to get back into. Alliance manages to find a team fight, and they are aware that if they lose this fight, they not only lose the game, but the entire series. They spend everything they have and go all in. They actually manage to win the fight, and Team Bald backs off. Except if you take into account how much each Alliance member spent on the fight, they actually lost the fight. Team Bald runs away, but with a bigger advantage than they started with. Now, at this point, the win chance is 94% for Team Bald. It is almost a certainty. Well, would it surprise you if I said that the game goes on for another 20 minutes? It shouldn't. The thing is, in the current Dota meta, if you really want to win a game, the best option is usually not to win it. Let me explain. Winning the game always involves doing a large push and destroying the enemy throne. No matter what your advantage is, this always carries a tiny risk that you fuck up in some way. So, what do you do instead? Nothing. You force the enemy to stay inside their base, while you just farm your way to an advantage that is uncontestable. There isn't really anything the enemy team can do to stop it. And this is exactly what happens. At 54 minutes and 24 seconds, the series is over. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.